Lee, we're trying to just gauge the pulse of the people during this presidential season. Primary is a month away. We thought it was a good time to get a sense of who people are looking at right now. They're looking at the outsiders, but they don't like the tone.
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush.
That Republican debate Saturday night did not play well.
I think you got a bunch of little kids up there arguing.
Where did I support it? Where did I support it? Hey, Ted.
Do you think that because of the contentious nature of the debates that it's turning people off?
No, I think more people are paying attention, but I'm just not sure they're getting to the heart of the issues.
I don't know whether you noticed, we did pretty well in New Hampshire.
John Kasich is talking issues in his town hall meetings, but his poll numbers are still low. Nowhere near as strong as Donald Trump's, who this woman strongly supports.
He's the only one that I think is really going to get things done.
Then there's the other outsider, Ben Carson, whose focus on the national debt has this voter's attention.
Everyone seems to ignore it, and my opinion is that that's the thing that'll become huge, especially in the next 4 years.
Among Democrats, Bernie Sanders making a lot of noise, attracting thousands at a speech in Michigan yesterday, and getting a good look in Ohio as well.
I like the idea of health care for everybody and college education being affordable.
One candidate, he seemed like he's promising the world, and the other one seems a little more sensitive. But it would be nice if he could win and see what would happen.
So there's just a little pulse of the people as it stands one day before the March 15th primary. An unconventional campaign, some unconventional candidates, but there's some strong support for them.
Next week, the Republicans will nominate their presidential ticket. The party holds its convention in Cleveland. And in your vote tonight, 13 ABC's Bill Hormann says this convention is different.
Most party conventions are predictable, but this Republican convention is anything but predictable or conventional.
No good. Not going to happen, folks.
If you believe the polls, Ohio is tight. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are tied. Trump's political inexperience has led to gaffes and bad media, but the polls in the state are moving his way.
It's amazing that he's tied in the polls with Hillary Clinton when there really wasn't any campaign staff here on the ground until just recently.
John Stainbrook is organizing Northwest Ohio for the eventual Republican nominee, but he's going to the convention as a delegate for John Kasich. The Never Trump movement could turn to Kasich in a nomination fight, and Stainbrook will back Kasich until any fight is over.
And then after that, we will support the nominee wholeheartedly.
But outside the convention site, protesters. The Farm Labor Organizing Committee will be among roughly 40 groups rallying, protesting, or marching in Cleveland.
We got to wake our people up to get out to the polls and vote.
Are you registered to vote?
Local Hillary Clinton campaign workers will stay in Toledo, though, working on voter registration and trying to tap into an anti-Trump mood.
Because we want to get out the message that Donald Trump is a divisive force and Hillary Clinton is a unifying candidate.
But the National Democratic Party has something else planned. This is part of a 22-page email outlining the party's $800,000 effort to run anti-Trump gimmicks and activities during the Republican convention, which disappoints some Republicans who just want to pick a nominee.
We don't need to spend $800,000 to try to intimidate people. It's just, to me, it's disgusting and shows bad taste.
Well, security will be an issue here. Some media even decked out in riot gear. 2 protest groups have announced that they will openly carry guns. Several major corporations have withdrawn financial and product support. The host governor refuses to endorse his party's nominee. And one Ohio delegate has resigned because she cannot support Donald Trump. As we say, nothing is conventional about this convention.
And while the delegates on the floor were announcing their support, alternate delegates were watching from the gallery.
13 ABC's Bill Hormann is covering the convention in Cleveland for us tonight.
For a lot of political junkies, the roll call night is the most exciting night of the entire 4-day convention period for either Republicans or Democrats. It's just that tonight is the Republicans' turn to nominate their candidate.
Arizona delivers 58 bound votes to the nominee, Donald J. Trump, the next president of the United States of America.
It's what makes American politics unique and unifying.
It's great. And it's like watching history. It's like you can reach out and touch it. It's cool.
Political nominating conventions rely on the roll call, and this year's primary season reached a Republican resolution Tuesday. It might be the most fun part because listen to all the introductions these states give.
Yeah. We're #1 in rice production.
It's like a geography lesson and a history lesson all rolled in one.
Every time a state casts its ballot, everybody stands up and cheers.
Yeah.
There they go.
It's really fun. It really is. It's riveting just to hear everybody get up and yell and scream.
Do you wish you were on that floor right now?
Yeah, it'd be real fun to be down there.
It is my honor to be able to throw Donald Trump over at the top in the delegate count tonight with 89 delegates.
This is the 4th convention for Grace, and she says she's ready to support the Republican ticket.
Well, you always have a few stray dogs, but basically it will be united.
So it was no real surprise, but we tried to give you a sense of the excitement that some of the people feel here, not just for the nominee himself, but for the process itself. Tomorrow night, the theme is Making America First Again. Tonight, the Republican Party made Donald Trump first.
And not all the presidential candidates will be on stage tonight.
13 ABC's Bill Hormann talked with supporters of Libertarian Gary Johnson and Green Party member Jill Stein about how shutting them out affects your choices, Bill.
Lee and Christian, they say the system is rigged against third-party candidates, and they insist keeping Gary Johnson and Jill Stein off the stage tonight stifles political competition. We're often told that if you don't vote Republican or Democrat, you're wasting your vote. Tonight's debate features only a Republican and a Democrat, which bothers the Libertarians.
Not being in the debates, I think, really hurts the voting public at large.
Who believe their candidate, Gary Johnson, has ideas you need to hear.
To have more parties and to have more voices is the only way we're going to solve the problems that we face, because they are that complex and they are that large.
Debate rules dictate that candidates polling at 15% get to be on stage. A weekend poll, though, has Johnson at just 5% and Green Party candidate Jill Stein at 1%.
They rigged the system not just against minor parties, but against the American people.
Sean Nestor with the local Green Party says the Presidential Commission on Debates, created by the Republicans and the Democrats, purposefully suffocates minor parties.
It's a way that they subtly create this idea that if you're a minor party, you must be this fringe candidate espousing ideas nobody supports.
And the political reality is, if Stein or Johnson get 5% of the vote on Election Day, their parties qualify for millions of dollars in public financing, and they get automatic access to all 50 state ballots in the next presidential election. That's why Nestor encourages you to vote third party now, so you can build strong third parties later.
So even if you don't win the presidency, you sow the seeds down the road for a very intense competition going forward, not just on the federal level, but local and statewide.
And now hear this, Nestor and Ken Sharp have an interesting idea. They say if a candidate appears on enough state ballots to mathematically be able to win the election, they should be included in the debates. Gary Johnson right now is on all 50 state ballots. Jill Stein, 47, enough to win, but that's not the system right now.
The early voting center in Toledo was busy today, but we did find some concern over vote security, double voting, dead people voting, vote flipping.
In your vote this afternoon, 13 ABC's Bill Hormann says fraud is possible, but rare.
Lee and Christian, by the end of the day, 7,000 people will have voted early this year, but can you be sure that your vote will be counted properly or that somebody won't cheat the system? Voters want to participate in this election, especially the presidential election.
I hope it's not rigged. I do. Because I want either one to win properly and fair.
But more than ever, we hear reports of dead people registering to vote, double voting, improper counting. Here in Lucas County, this woman worries about fraud as well.
But I didn't even need to show my ID. All I need to know is my address or the last 4 digits of my social.
Anything is possible.
The Lucas County Board of Elections knows it cannot guarantee a 100% pure election. But Lavera Scott says widespread fraud is unlikely.
I do not believe by any means it's a large scale of voter fraud intention, no.
Take the voting machines themselves. The BOE says hackers cannot manipulate the vote because the machines are not hooked to the internet or Wi-Fi.
It's kind of antiquated, Slightly, but it does allow the fact that you can't hack into something that's not hooked to the system anyway.
As for dead people voting, Lucas County uses a registry that lists those who should no longer be on the voting rolls, making it impossible for anyone to register the dead again.
The system is going to say that there's a duplicate that already exists.
Double voting, though, is an issue. If you own property in another state, it is very difficult to stop you from voting more than once, but it is a crime. And finally, vote counting. Lucas County hand delivers barcoded ballot boxes and memory card bags under police escort.
It has a barcode when it goes out, and we look for those same barcodes to come in.
Then each ballot will be counted with a representative of each party observing. Now, to be fair, we did speak to some voters who completely trust the system and believe the voting system is safe. But because of the concerns about voter fraud, both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have contacted Lucas County and other boards of elections around all the states just to let them know they can provide assistance if there is some sort of threat they perceive to the voting system on Election Day. But LaVera Scott says if you cast a ballot, please double check it before you press the cast ballot button.
History shows that Republicans do not win the White House without winning Ohio, and that was true again this year. So how did he do it? 13 ABC's Bill Hormann looks at 3 ways to victory for Trump in Ohio. Bill.
Lee and Diane, this map is absolutely amazing. This goes back to 2012 when President Barack Obama won his re-election. All these states in blue, these were the states he won. 19 out of 88 in the state of Ohio. Look what happened last night. Hillary Clinton loses. She only won 7 of Ohio's 88 counties. So, why the change? Well, we'll start with the voters who are living in those counties. We'll start with the demographics, the voting blocks, and who they supported. Among women, Clinton underperformed by 4 points from what President Obama got in 2012 here in Ohio. Clinton got 7% less support among African Americans and 10% less support from millennials from what President Obama won here in 2012. And then Trump's base came out, which helped turn those blue counties red.
For a Republican, that's Ohio's red rural counties, and then add those suburban and ex-urban counties like Wood, Sandusky, and Ottawa. That spells victory in Ohio, and that's a big part of how he did it.
People lined up to vote on a message as well. In Ohio, that was about trade and globalism. Among union households, Donald Trump won by 5 points, where President Obama had won by 23 points 4 years ago.
And so that message of going after NAFTA, going after TPP, going after China and Mexico, I think it resonated amongst Ohio voters.
And then there were the crowds at the Trump rallies. Trump and Pence were in Ohio 46 times. Clinton and Kaine just 28. Surrogates like Bill and Chelsea Clinton and all the singers and actors may not have impressed Ohio voters nearly as much as Donald Trump personally making Ohio a priority.
Being here physically can really get your supporters really fired up and mobilized and ready to vote.
And now hear this. Hillary Clinton had more money. She ran more television ads, had more staff and more offices in the state of Ohio, but it didn't matter. Trump's trade and immigration message helped him win non-college whites in the state of Ohio by 27 points. Lee and Diane, Trump's campaign saw Ohio as part of a core 4 state that he had to win, and he did win it for a variety of reasons. There was some concern that perhaps the Clinton campaign had simply conceded the state of Ohio. After all, in the Senate race, it now looks like Rob Portman is pulling away from Democrat Ted Strickland. But with a strong debate performance last Monday night, perhaps that has re-energized the Clinton campaign. Donald Trump really doesn't know how to run as a politician, and let's face it, the media may not know how to cover a man who's not really a politician. So there's probably a learning curve here, but the folks in this audience really believe, Lee, that there is a bias in the media. Well, we are one day from the election, and Hillary Clinton is very lucky in her surrogates. Not only does she have her husband, a former president, and the current first lady and the current vice president, she also has the current president campaigning in her behalf this last day before the election. Take a look at this crowd. We're in Ann Arbor, University of Michigan. As we sit here at 11:17 in the evening, Donald Trump is up in Michigan anywhere from 1 to 2 points. Michigan is a state that even the president attended yesterday, spoke at the University of Michigan. You would think that that's not the place to go if you want to win some votes. They must have been scared.